Yep. Yeah. Well, there are very few times when you can use the expression, "Here's a man who needs no introduction," and this is actually one of those times. But I'm going to do it anyways. Um, just like Sid, Sweet Lou is a close personal friend of mine, and many of you in the room, as I noticed, sitting here waiting for lunch to be served as the throngs came over. Um, if this is the state of hockey, then Lou Nanne probably wouldn't just be governor; he'd probably be appointed emperor for life. Um, you all know him from his Gopher days, the '68 Olympic team, his North Star career as a player, coach, general manager, president. You know him as a longtime Edina resident and his hockey playing prodigy, including Tyler, who helped lead the Hornets to the state title this year. You may have even worked with him on a business level. But for anything you might not know about Lou, you can check out the Sky Yuma magazine this month, the latest issue, which quite heavily features him. So today Lou is going to share with us his passion for the University of Minnesota and the vision he is sharing with the state as he leads the campaign for the future of Gopher athletics and the next generation of student athletes. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Lou Nanne.
Thank you very much, Mark. Sometimes you come to these functions and the kind of introduction you get, they could be controversial. Years ago, I was speaking in St. Louis. They had a big banquet down in St. Louis, and they had quite a collection of people speaking. Jack Buck, Joe Buck's dad. Jack Buck used to do the Cardinals, and he was the MC, Bob Costas, myself, and Don Cherry. Don Cherry, by the way, is still doing hockey. He's 80, 81 years old. But he's a Canadian, and Jack Buck, as the MC, after he's introducing the speakers, he gets to Don Cherry, and he says, and my next guest, he says, someone very well known in Canada, but I've never heard of him, Don Cherry. So Cherry gets up, grabs the mic, and he says, well, I haven't heard of you either. So Buck grabs the mic back. He says, you could tell the guy's a Canadian. You don't end a sentence with a preposition. So Cherry grabs the mic back. He says, I haven't heard of you either. You know, Mark was very, very industrious when he was a youngster. He was also not greedy, but he wanted the material things. So when he was 5 years old, he prayed and prayed for weeks to God for $100. Never got it, so he decided to write a letter to God, asking him to send him $100. When the letter was sent, the postal authorities got it. They see a letter to God. They send it to the President of the United States. President of the United States opens up, reads it, thought it was very cute. Says to his assistant, send this kid $5. He should be happy, so send him $5. Mark gets the letter back, opens it up, sees he's got $5, and he writes a letter back to God. He says, Dear God, thank you very much for the money, he says, but you must have sent it through Washington because those assholes deducted $95 in taxes. Don, how do you feel? 57 years old? God, you're old. You and I are the only old guys in here. I mean, amazing. I can remember when you started going back there. Well, I'm here to talk to you today about one major thing that affects us all. And you know, when you go to sell something, you always want to answer the question, why? Why should they buy from you? Why are you doing this? Why do they need it? Well, we've got a question why that has to be answered and has to be fulfilled. You might have heard I'm the I'm the actual chairman. I wish it was honorary. But I'm the chairman for the fundraising campaign to raise $190 million for the athletic department. And you say, why? Why are we doing this? Why do we need it? And there's a number of things I want to talk to you about, but first and foremost, I want you to remember one thing. You're all Minnesotans. You're all Minnesotans, and because of that, you're affected by the University of Minnesota. University of Minnesota is the engine that drives the state. And you could get corporations here to make major, major medical breakthroughs. And they're going to affect a number of people. They won't affect everybody. You're going to be dealing with a bank, and they're going to affect a number of people. They're not going to be dealing with everyone. Go on, whatever industry it is. Many people are affected, not everybody. But the University of Minnesota affects everybody. It affects everybody in one way or the other, through its output, through the people it graduates, through the research that it does, through the athletics. Some way, somehow, everybody gets affected. And you know what's really ironic? We have people leaving the state, which is fine. You know, it's your prerogative, go where you are, do what you want to do. And people become residents of other states. Yet you go down there during the winter, if it happens to be in Florida or California, Nevada, wherever it is, and something that happens that really resonates with them, if it's a success of a Minnesota person or a team or an industry. They take pride in it. They say, oh, they're from Minnesota, I'm from Minnesota. They still have a connection. We still have a connection. And so we take things for granted. We take the University of Minnesota for granted. Everybody knows the story. When you're a professional team, you want a stadium or something, you threaten to move. You don't move, you get some money, you build a stadium. University of Minnesota is not going anywhere. So we never got to that situation. You know, the Minnesota North Stars, when I was president of Minnesota North Stars, general manager and president, 1988, we went and we wanted $15 million from the Sports and Facilities Commission or from Bloomington. We wanted to build 42 more suites. We wanted to just widen the concourse and put a dining room in there. We got turned down. They were trying to force us downtown so we'd only have one building in town. We wouldn't have competition with the new Target Center was being built. So that led to the guns moving. Norm Green comes in, spends 3 years, puts $7 million in the building, fixes it up, tries to get money just to put a shopping center to connect from the Met Center to the Mall of America, doesn't get it, moves to Dallas. So in '93, the hockey team leaves. 2000, we get a team back. We never got $15 million. We paid $285 million 7 years to get it back because we wanted professional sports here. And we all know the case of the Twins and the Vikings. Yet here we are, we're sitting with the University of Minnesota that we take for granted. We never really focus on it. It's like we pick at a scab and never heals. We try and do something here, place meal here and patch this, but we never focus on the real needs. And now when we've, fortunately, got President Kaler coming here and now Norwood Teague, we have a couple of leaders that essentially have looked at where we are, what we have to do, and where we're going, and have had the vision and the courage to say, we have to get this done. We have to make changes. We have to improve. We sit back and we take things just for granted. The University of Minnesota has got a great ice rink, Mariucci Arena. Stop and think about it. Mariucci Arena, you go over there, that's beautiful. It is beautiful. And you say, why would you need any money for Mariucci Arena? Mariucci Arena was built 23 years ago. They tore the Metrodome down in 25 years. Mariucci Arena is in good shape. But when you look at the things underneath that you don't see, when we built the rink, we put a training facility right by the coach's offices there for the hockey team. I think we got 12 teams using that place now because we don't have the facilities to train. When you look at where we are compared to everybody else in the Big Ten, you say this can't be. It really isn't. Commissioner Delaney came in, spoke to our group, to our leadership group. We asked him the question, we said, how do we stack up with everybody else in the Big Ten? He said, you're last. The average square footage for teaching, training that the athletic departments have is 35,000 in the Big Ten. We have 9,000 square feet. We have students studying in the hallway. We have students that can't get the kind of tutelage they need. They can't get the practice facilities that they need. We share what, we have Fayette on campus, and so many times even the basketball arena, we can't get it when we need it. The coaches talk about stories when they can't even show kids the facilities at the proper time because they're being used. So they came out, President Kaler, Norwood Teague, did a study and says, here's where we are. We need to improve our football facility, practice facility. We need to build a practice facility for the women's basketball and men's basketball. We need to move the track. First and foremost, we need a teaching and training facility where we could get training tables. Our kids eat on card tables, and you go to Ohio State and Michigan and even Northwestern, some of these other schools have got beautiful buildings where they have training tables. They get their training meals all day long. We might get one. And relatively speaking, it makes us look really bad. I'll give you just one little story because it affects one of our Edina residents, whose family's been a very good friend of mine. Zach Parisi went to North Dakota to visit. I'll never forget this. And he went up to see the North Dakota rink. They have a $100 million rink there. It was donated by one of their benefactors. And he was coming down to visit Minnesota the following week. He went up there, never made the visit. They walk in, they fall in love with the building, we lose them. This happens in all sports. If you think that a student, a football player, for instance, a women's basketball player, if they go and visit something like Ohio State or Wisconsin or Nebraska with their new men's and women's basketball arena, it's going to come here after they see that. It's really difficult. It's really difficult. But if we make the effort to get done what needs to be done, you know what happens to it? When I talked about the sense of pride we all have when something happens to Minnesota, it happens throughout the whole body, throughout the whole student body. It happens throughout the faculty. We get better students. We also attract better teachers. We turn out better individuals. We become more of a household name throughout the country, and it becomes just a circle of success. And that's what we need to do. We have to start that circle of success. I personally have been around, I came here in 1959. And I was never asked until the year 2000 to help at the University of Minnesota, to help raise money, to help set up a scholarship. And they came and asked me, Mike Halloran did it in year 2000, and he asked me for some help. I said, okay, and I wrote him a check. And he said, why are you doing this now? I said, I've been here since '59. Nobody asked. Nobody asked. And that's the kind of mentality we had. Nobody asked. We all said the state will take care of it. You know, if we get more money for athletics from the state, less goes to the academics. So you know that the president can't afford to let a lot come. So every year, we're cut down on athletics from the money we receive from the state of Minnesota. So we have to become self-sustaining, which essentially we are, but we're fighting an uphill battle when it comes to facilities because we don't have the money for that. So we have to get together and raise money. Now, when I talk about raising money, I talk about everybody, you, me, corporations, foundations, everybody. Stop and think about what we just did for the Super Bowl. I think it was $20 to $40 million was given as part of the package to entice the Super Bowl to come here from corporations, whether it's hotel nights, monies for parties, whatever it was, that was the figure. We've never focused on the corporations. Do you know anybody, how many corporations over there have a presence? Do you see their name on anything? We never focused on saying, hey, we need your help. And a corporation should realize that they should be helping us. It's all of us. We're in this together. They're here. They're a major part of our community. Not as big as a university, but they should be in partnership. We have to develop a partnership. And the partnership starts right at the bottom, right with you and I, and goes all the way up. I tell my friends at the lake, many of the people at the lake, they've all gone to Eastern schools. They've gone to Ivy League schools and they're here, but they're part of Minnesota. They enjoy the fruits of the University of Minnesota. They enjoy the sports at the University of Minnesota. It's something that is needed desperately in this day and age, and it's helped that everybody can contribute in one way or the other. The good part about this, when they ask me why I'm doing it, I says my grandfather had a saying when I was a kid, when I used to screw off, and I did that a lot, by the way. He used to say, basta, basta, enough. And I said, I had enough. I had enough of being here and just accepting mediocrity or less. I've had enough of us not doing anything. I've had enough of everybody saying the University of Minnesota cannot get this done. I had enough people say it's impossible. I said, if everybody just has that kind of mindset, we'll never get it done. So if I have to start doing it with the help of many others, I'm willing to do it. And that's what we have to do. It was very encouraging to me. I got a letter from one person, don't know him, from way up north. Sent me a letter. He says, Louis, I never went to the University of Minnesota, and my wife finds out she's going to kill me, but here's $1,000. Send $1,000 in. Another guy, must have had a lot less, because he sent me a couple of my hockey cards or autographs. He said, put them on eBay, maybe you can make some money. So, but at least the thought was there. He didn't realize it was going to be a deficit, but the thought was there. But we really need that kind of mentality. And where I was further encouraged, I had academians, I had professors call me, which you always get a little concerned as to what's their feeling going to be. Are they concerned that this money is going to be taken away from the academic area? Are they concerned that we're going to have too much focus on academics? And I had some notable professors call me. One says, long overdue. Whatever you need, wherever I can help, I'm with you. I'll come with you. I'll do it. It's very important. Another professor the same way. He says, I'm a big fan of all Gopher sports. I think it's high time that we start competing with the rest of the Big Ten on even terms. Wherever I can help, do it. And when you start looking around and you've seen that kind of feeling inside, I'm saying the main thing that's happened thus far, it hasn't been tapped. Nothing's been touched. You never really had anybody focus on it. We've gone through a lot at the university, and we had Joe Maturi had to lead a merger of the athletic department, done a wonderful job, so we had to focus on that, putting two departments together. You had Title IX coming in. There were so many different things, so we can say we have an excuse why some of the things didn't get done. But I don't know. I'm sure you got to be like me. If you own a home for 50 years, somewhere along the line, you're going to make some improvements, I think. You might need some paint, maybe some cement, maybe a new window. I don't know. But we didn't do this. We didn't focus on our needs. We didn't keep up with the Joneses. So we fell far behind. And it's going to take the efforts by all of us, the concern of all of us, the willingness to contribute by all of us, as little as, or as much as you can do, to make this thing happen. And we're not going to do it overnight, and we're not going to try and do it all at one time. I would expect about 5 weeks from now we'll make the first announcement. We have, I'd say, purposely started. I mean, this is just the same way when I was involved in selling the U.S. Open sales and corporate suites at Interlochen a few years back. You want to start with a major thing. You want to start with some momentum. So we focused on a couple of corporations. We will get them involved. We're pretty well there, and we'll start with that. At the same time, it's not that we haven't started the grassroots campaign. We're trying a campaign of awareness, like being here today. We're trying to make everyone realize where we are, where we're coming from, and be ready to help us if you can. And do something in conjunction so that it grows and mushrooms. You want to start with a solid base, and then you want to start getting the momentum of each and every individual that's willingness to be a difference maker. And I'm very happy about the kind of response I've had from business leaders around here. We have 45 people on our leadership committee. I'm thrilled with the continued vision of President Kaler to get this done and not take his eye off the ball, and having the willingness to do it. I'm really pleased that I think now we're starting to get an awareness from a lot of companies and corporations that literally didn't do anything because they weren't asked, but know that there is not only a need, but I have to feel that there's a willingness on their part to help because they realize being part of the community has its costs. Like all of us, we don't all like the same thing. We don't all spend money on the same thing. I tell people when they were building the football stadium, I said, look, I could be a resident somewhere else. I'm not here that much, but I choose to be a resident here. And I pay for your roads and your streets and your fire and police and everything else. So when they're building the stadium, I hope they get some tax money because that's my tax money too. I'm not benefiting from the other stuff, but we all are in this together. And so we have to try and make our community better collectively and with a togetherness that has an understanding that the first and foremost thing we got to succeed in here is making certain that University of Minnesota continues to succeed in all areas, academics, athletics, and the way it will do that is by getting the support of everybody because they are interdependent. Some professors will tell you they're not, but they are. They really affect one another. And if you look at across the country, across the Big Ten, when fall rolls around, for instance, and Ohio State or Michigan or Wisconsin's doing very well and we're not doing well, you could see the difference, the feeling, the lackluster feeling we have as individuals and the hope that we were there. Everybody wants to be associated with a winner. Vince Lombardi says, you don't fail due to a lack of strength or a lack of knowledge. You fail because of a lack of will. We got the will to get this done. We have the will to see success at the end of the day. We will get it done. We will get it done. We want you all to be part of it. We need your help. We want your help. I hope that we can expect your help. And I do know that if we get your help and everybody does help, when we get this done, everybody's going to feel better about it. Everybody's going to understand how important it is to be successful as Minnesotans, as the University of Minnesota, and as members of the state. I really believe it's going to be life-changing. And it's going to be life-changing for your children and grandchildren and great-grandchildren. And that's what I'm looking for. I hope that's what you're looking for.
Well, I was at a meeting some time ago where the university president and the athletic director and some of the others were talking about who could possibly head up the program, this enormous program, to raise $190 million. And they said, we need somebody with a big name, solid reputation, somebody who will work hard, and somebody who's just well respected throughout the whole community. And the only name that came up was Lou Nanne. And the university did well to get Lou to head up this great big project. So thank you very much for doing this, Louie. Louie and I have been friends for many years, and I have always been so impressed that a lot of other athletes, after their playing days are over, leave. You never hear from them again. But Lou, for all these years, has worked dedicatedly for our community, for our state. He is a person who gives back, much like the 1.2 million people in Rotary give back to our communities, much as Jennifer talked about Veep, how they give back to our community. And this is so very, very important, and it's what Lou stands for. Well, the Edina Rotary wants to show its great gratitude to Lou for the presentation today. And we had a couple of choices. We offered him earlier the keys to a brand new 2015 red Corvette convertible, or a donation in his name to Veep. To show the kind of person Lou Nanne is, he took the contribution to Veep. And so, Lou, we appreciate your being here today, and thank you so much for sharing this program with the Rotary and with our entire community.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Louis.
Thank you.
Thank you, Louis. Great program. Thank you to all our visiting guests and Rotarians. Remember, next week is our prospective member meeting. Please bring a friend or a colleague to the meeting. We're going to have a great program again. Ward Brem, who spoke to our club a number of years back, will be back again to speak about his experience in Africa and elsewhere. And many who were at that meeting a number of years ago say it was the best program we've ever had. And so please come and bring your friends and colleagues. The new Rotary International president is Gary Huang, who is from Taiwan. And he was inspired by the teachings of Chinese philosopher Confucius, who said, "It's better to light a single candle than to sit and curse the darkness." Gary said, "There are so many problems in the world, so many people who need help. Many people say there's nothing I can do. So they sit there doing nothing. Meanwhile, everything stays dark. The Rotary way is the Confucius way. The Rotary way is to light a candle. I light one, you light one, 1.2 million Rotarians light one. Together we light up the world." He set the theme for this Rotary year as Light Up Rotary, and said Light Up Rotary is our theme, but it's more than our theme. It's how we live in Rotary, how we think in Rotary, how we feel, and how we work. It is how we make a difference every day in every club, every district, and every country where we serve. Have a great week. Meeting adjourned.